bad cop?
Nah. Good cop and bad cop left for the day. I'm a different kind of cop.
I don't want to do your dirty work no more.
We're back. I love that intro. I'm going to be honest with you. I had a lot of fun making that intro.
Last Friday all day, I was just going around. I don't want to do your dirty work.
I do it every time I drive now. I just like, I don't want to do your dirty work. Oh yeah. We are back. We're back. Sopranos, The Shield, Mad Men. 3 episodes from Mad Men, 3 episodes from The Shield, and 4 from The Sopranos, all in season 1. So if you're watching along, click up with that. We'll be back with Bad Guy. Didn't have a lot of movement in the Sopranos power ranking, but overall, solid episodes, at least from my end. Again, these shows could get bad at some point. Season 1 is hitting on all cylinders for me so far. We're with Mark. He's already got a beer. This should be a fun night. He gets to talk second, so we'll see how many he gets to before Matt's done talking. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. I think I'm going to do this from now on. If I'm in these talk shows, I'm going to get these Guinnesses because I notice I will drink a lot less of that. I'll just go through 2 and that's very fine and respectable. It's not, if I have Dos Equis with me, I'll go through like 5 or 6 because they're like water. And that's just not good. Can't do it. No. Can't do it.
All right.
Maybe if you're talking that, you have some scotch with you or something.
What if we just all partake in what our show partakes in, and we'll see what that is. Good thing you don't.
In the background.
I think for the amount of episodes and the amount of cigarettes you should actually smoke. Next up is Matt. Matt's back with his favorite police officer in The Shield. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's fun watching these shows, just seeing all these positive role models and how they bring all the goodness to their community.
Yeah, we'll see who falls into the bad guy list this week. I believe Matt played the system last time and nominated the pedophile and the sex trafficker. And
because there could be a really bad person this week.
Yeah. We're going to keep it in the show and it has consistent roles. See? But I think last week, who did we end up with? We definitely ended up with no Sopranos. We ended up with Pete from Mad Men, Don from Mad Men.
And then I think you did Vic, right?
I did Vic, yeah. He literally killed the fellow officer.
Yeah, but he's a rat, so it's okay.
That should be a rat on. And I mean, not to poke any hands, but the other guy should there's been a theme of person not to cross, and this other guy clearly doesn't understand hey, you probably shouldn't cross him, but he's gonna do that. So no Sopranos on that one, but yeah, we had 2 from Mad Men, which if you looked on the outside looking in, the guy that escaped the birthday party never came back with a cake, and Pete slept with another woman before his honeymoon, or before he got married.
Before the wedding, yeah. So
we're the 2 of the bad guys. Mad Men is clear on the bar with 2 votes so far. So they will not probably win the kill count. They won't win the kill count, but they could win bad guys. So interesting. We're going to start with Matt and The Shield. So take it away, Matt.
So we're going to kick it off with episode 4 of The Shield, Dog Days. And we start with Lem and Danny are moonlighting as security at a club party for a musician, Kern Little. Someone shows up making a scene saying Kern owes him money. Guns come out, chaos ensues. We get 2 people end up getting killed there. So eventually all the cops show up. Vic and Aceveda have a nice little stare down going down over it. Vic and Lem go off and visit Rondell, who is one of the shooters from the club. Vic kind of has a working relationship with Rondell that he can deal drugs as long as there's no violence on the streets. kind of a similar deal we've seen with some of the Wire characters. So Vic tells Vic tells him that he needs to bring in 2 of the people from his crew to kind of answer for the crime, just go into holding. Aceveda plays some time politicking with one of the, I guess, kingmakers for the area, who kind of is kind of the money man, and kind of picks people to kind of raise them up in the different positions in the politics of the area. And he ends up telling him he's going to help find his nanny's husband, Manuel, which Aceveda then immediately turns and drops the case off to Dutch and Claudette. They find out someone named Eduardo had a grudge with Manuel, so they track down Eduardo and interrogate him. Eduardo says that Manuel died in a work accident, and the boss convinced him that he would be blamed, so they buried him at the work site. And then they, so they all go up, they dig up the body, and end up arresting the boss. So that's I just kind of combined all their stuff into one little thing there.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. Not that they just they killed the guy and buried him in the thing. The fact that the guy tried to justify that all these people will be out of work. What are you doing? Dude, you guys killed the guy and buried him.
Trying to feed all their families.
Yeah, he's just trying to think of the economics of it all. Okay, like, they were not
just
getting
one
paid.
guy.
You guys like that $40 an hour, $40 a day? Like, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Messing with those union guys. This happens in more than one of these shows this week. Like, that's crazy. And doesn't know why he's going to jail too. He's like, what? Like, yeah, buddy, you're a part of this.
Oh god. Vic and Lem sit Kern and T-Bones down in the interrogation room to kind of try to put an end to this feud, kind of settle everything over. Doesn't go over so well at first.
Back to you, Matt. I can't remember Jackie's name for main of the crime boss of the Sopranos, and you're out here giving me T-Bone and everything else. I even write it down. I still can't find it. Matt is excellent at what he does. Good job, Matt.
Aceveda ends up bringing in Rondell after Danny identifies him from the club. Vic asks Danny to kind of forget all about Rondell because he's Vic's CI. So she says she'll think about it. But then later that night, someone kind of throws her to the ground and puts a gun to her head and tells her she should really think about forgetting what she saw. She tells Vic, who is very unhappy about this. He pretty much goes to Rondell and said, you did the one thing you shouldn't have done, and that's pissed me off. So Vic and Lem end up donating Rondell's TV and destroying all of his records. And Lem pretty much tells him, you should be happy. I talked him out of doing way worse. Vic tells Danny that he took care of the situation. Vic's wife, Corinne, is struggling at home with their son. We find out that he bit his baby sister on the face, requiring her to be taken to the hospital.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Then we find out that T-Bones had killed, I'm not sure if it was Kern's dog or Kern's girlfriend's dog or something, but they're not happy about it. So Vic and Lem kind of put an end to this thing. They kind of lock Kern and T-Bones in a cargo crate overnight so they can kind of make peace and kind of end this feud. And then the next morning when they arrive, Kern is the only one who walks out alive. So that's episode 4 of The Shield.
I love how at the end of it, like Vic and Lem are like, what? There's only one of you guys here? You killed each other? We didn't want that to happen. What's going on?
Kern's like, I told you he was a pussy.
Like, we'll get into it more as these episodes go on, but like Bad Cops is like the easiest TV I think ever to write because it's like so typical, but like holy shit, like the amount of shit that like I would resign as the police commissioner of this unit instantly as soon as like Vic and they've got so many ties and everything. Like he's never gonna get anything fucking accomplished. Like he's about a better chance of him dying than him getting things actually accomplished with this group. Like it's just like they're locking people in a thing and then one person dies, but like he's not gonna face any real consequence from it. Like what are you talking about? Like just move along. So and that was a great episode. Again, different than so different than how I felt with The Wire. And shout out Paulo Yama. He messaged me. He was, "Have you seen The Wire?" I said, "Just watching for the first time last week," and like, but it's different than The Wire because like they had one big case that got resolved for the season normally, like how it always like wrapped it up near the end. I'm normally not a huge fan. Like it's why I don't like. I would never watch 27 seasons of like Special Victims Unit or like fucking CSIs or any of those like those 24-hour like oh the case gets solved instantly. But I am liking just with the day-to-day bullshit that these other cops have to end up deal with. Like Vic like runs his gambit around everybody else, so it's like a break between the Vic story and stuff. So it's find it interesting, like, oh god. But like how are they I just don't know what's gonna end up happening. Because like if this goes on, what, 6 seasons of this shit?
Yeah.
In the 6th season, they're gonna find the nuclear warhead. We've gotten bodies, we've gotten sex traffics. Like this is season 1.
Oh yeah.
This is the most fucked up place to live. I thought Baltimore was bad, but let me tell you, this part of California is terrible.
I mean, I would say in later seasons, they kind of do have some stories that kind of have through lines throughout the whole season. I mean, they still do a lot of the case of the week stuff, them solving stuff, but there are some like there's antagonists for like a whole season sort of thing coming up. So I think the first season, they're just kind of trying to feel what the show is and stuff.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's also important to note that, just rat beefs back in the day, I think everybody thought, oh, man, the Kendrick Drake stuff is crazy. Like, no, these guys were shooting each other. These guys.
all they need is Vic to just throw them in a cargo thing overnight. They'll figure it out. All right, so then we're gonna go.
I honestly think the next 2 episodes is where this show like really like got me absolutely hooked. Like I was so. I said it the last week, but I almost said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna keep watching," because like these last 2 episodes were just like I was hooked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to go into episode 5, which is a pretty tense episode. So it opens up with Vic and the strike team breaking into an apartment to bug it. Then they find out that the Armenian suspects speak Armenian, so their bug isn't really super great. So they end up recruiting like a high school student to help them kind of translate. And they get information about a cocaine shipment coming in. So as the strike team is preparing to gear up, Aceveda kind of informs them that he's going to make sure that they have a backup with some patrolmen to kind of help them out.
And it's crazy that Vic, like I know he couldn't, like if he argued, then it just looked worse. But like how he just said, "All right, let's roll," and like it's just like the cat and mouse game between him and Vic is just like awesome. Like it's like insane when he's just like, "All right, like I'm gonna send some patrolmen." That's a waste of things, but all right, if you want to, I'm like, okay.
Looks like I'll just tell him to wait in the hallway. It's okay.
Yeah, because he doesn't end up going with them. So.
Julian's friend Tomas from one earlier episode kind of shows up to the barn to report a hit and run from a black man. So I thought that was nice. Makes Julian very uncomfortable and kind of gets him out of there. The strike team busts the drug deal right as a creepy dude Margos is killing one of his associates for disrespecting him and kind of getting in the way of his cocaine. Julian then witnesses the strike team keeping some of the cocaine that they plan on delivering to Rondell. I think it was there was like 7 bricks and they end up taking like 2 of them. Shane visits with his girlfriend that night, Amy, to, as I think Vic calls it later, get a Slurpee. Amy, while he's there, the police car and the cocaine inside it is stolen. So he kind of, with his girlfriend, spend the rest of the night kind of driving around trying to find it. He ends up pulling over the wrong car because, he doesn't like look at the license plate or anything. A real Shane move.
Yeah.
So then he kind of goes over the next morning, and I can't imagine what he's feeling going over to tell Vic that he lost that car with those drugs in it. But yeah, so the strike team meet up and they make a plan for finding the car. They visit another police officer who works with stolen vehicles to get info on the chop shops, and they are able to track the people who took it. Julian kind of asks Claudette for advice, and she warns him about making sure that anything you rat on is important enough that you can't live with, because it'll pretty much ruin your life. He ends up telling Aceveda. Aceveda finds out that the car wasn't returned yet, and he decides that he's going to find it before the strike team does, because he knows if he finds that with the cocaine in it, it's over for them. So Vic and his wife meet with a doctor who informs them that their son Matthew has autism. Vic does not take the news very well.
I don't know if these shows are linked up or what, but I'm telling you, the 2000s and the 90s, like right where it is, was like, let's get our kids tested for some shit, and like, let's make two of these fathers that have no fucking business listening to this shit. This is The Sopranos. I was like, because I watched The Shield first, and then I watched Sopranos. Like, you've got to be fucking kidding me! No way.
Oh, goodness. Danny and Julian end up finding the car, and Danny told him to hold off because she said she wanted to call Vic first, but Julian calls it in. So Aceveda beats the strike team there, and he and Julian search it, but the drugs are already gone. Aceveda interrogates the driver, doesn't really get a lot out of her. Danny, however, sneaks the driver's phone and gives it to Vic, and he's able to go through and find the numbers that it called. Strike team is able to find the drugs and cover it up in a very tense scene where they're pretty much just like clearing it and trying to clean up everything, because Aceveda is coming like right up the stairs there, and they manage to get it. And Vic, the ball's on Vic. He's got a brick of cocaine tucked in the back of his pants, and he tells Aceveda, "You can give me a cavity search if you want." Claudia and Dutch are investigating Margos, the murderer from the drug bust. After Margos kills somebody else in the Barnes cage for disrespecting him, Aceveda arranges for him to be transferred to a more secure holding facility. And then later at the end of the episode, we find out that Margos escaped. He pretty much opened up the van and jumped out of it while he was going 45 miles down the road with his handcuffs on still. Julian shows up at his friend Tomas's place. Julian is kind of fighting with himself and kind of who he is, and Tomas tells him to just listen to himself, and they embrace. Dutch is helping Danny study for her exam, but she gets a phone call that a friend needs some help. They're having a really bad day, so she kind of kicks Dutch out. And then Vic shows up. He's had a really bad day, so he needs to kind of hang out with Danny. And then Dutch kind of sees them kissing as he's driving off, and he's just like, oh. And that's the end of this episode.
Poor Dutch.
I just love Dutch looking. You've got kidding me. Like, dude put dog shit in my thing, then took the girl, like, because there's been hints, like, he's been keep telling him, like, hey, yeah, he wants to fuck you, basically. And he's like, no, he's just trying to help. Nah, whatever. And then, of course, it's Vic. But, dude, when he bursts through when they get through the thing and they're, like, looking for the Coke, and they finally find the Coke, and he shows up, and he's in the bathroom. He's like, where's he at? And it's, like, that really cool shot is because he's looking at, he, like, knows he's in a situation that, like, if he's caught with it, he's fucked.
Oh, yeah.
And he, like, him looking into the mirror and was like, how do I handle that? And then just shoves it down the back of his pants and be like, walks out and be like, you can cavity search me if you want. Like, mother, do it. If you do it right now, you got it. And it's just like he's so close to like he finds the car first, and like she's like tried to warn him, like, but the Coke wasn't in it, like the guns weren't in it or something like that.
I think the guns were the guns get sold to the pawn shop, but yeah. So yeah, pretty much none of the stuff was there. Yeah,
but it was like she didn't even know about the
drugs.
And he's like he knew what he was looking for. He didn't give a fuck about the guns. But she's like, the guns weren't there. Oh, nothing. What else was found? Nothing. Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to save you the hard trouble, Chief. Like, I was gonna bring it to you, blah blah blah. But knows that he was so close and just couldn't get him. I thought it was great, especially when he burst through the door when they just like got the Coke, and I thought it was gonna go him to blows. But I was like, it's episode 5. There's more time for this to brew. It can't be now.
Oh yeah, they're already making mistakes and getting close, so it's gonna be interesting
Yeah,
to see
it's
what
fucking
happens.
like you think this could go on for this is gonna come out to like a Hank and Walt shootout in the fucking
And I
episode
mean,
10.
you got to think that Shane and Vic have probably been together for a while, and we've seen Shane fuck up already like 3 or 4 times. I would have,
Yeah.
there would have been 2 cops getting shot that night.
Just pull the double trigger.
Oh.
What'd you think, Mark?
I mean, I think I really liked how you pointed out that at least a whole CCH pounder is like, hey, you're gonna rat on a cop. Just make sure something you can live with. And honestly, first thing in my head, like, well, it's just drugs.
Yeah.
You know, I think I could probably live with drugs. No, a second later, it's like, no, I gotta go to the captain. Like, let's just get this out of the way. Can't handle it. Like, bro, what are you doing, man? Like, just let some some drug trade stuff. Just let it slide. Like we can get past that. Maybe if you knew about the murder stuff, yeah, like probably
yeah.
go to Aceveda.
Just keep an eye on him.
I don't want to blow back on this episode again because it was a very good episode. I am very curious where like Lowe goes as a character. So I don't really remember a lot of stuff about him, and like I don't know, not the biggest fan. I don't know. You were gonna, yeah. I can't imagine you'd be super high if you were doing power rankings like Cody is over here.
Yeah, I mean that would be interesting. Yes, I think I do like that in these couple episodes they are at least kind of getting some of the other strike team members in it. Like Lem played a big part in the last one, and he's a little bit bigger in the next one. And then Ronnie, the guy with the mustache, is really like the only one we haven't really got to spend any good time with. But they'll flesh everybody out. So let me go to episode 6, Cherrypoppers. So Dutch and Claudette are investigating a dead 12-year-old prostitute. And this is the 4th such victim. And Dutch tells Aceveda that it's a serial killer, and he can catch this guy with 48 hours if he has all the resources at his disposal. Aceveda gives him 24 hours to get it done. So then you pretty much got Dutch just kind of telling all the officers, go, you do this, you do this, you do that. Vic doesn't like Dutch trying to tell him and his team what to do. And Vic pretty much tells Dutch that Dutch only cares that he's the one that solves the case. He doesn't care about getting this solved. It just cares that he's the one that does it.
He literally tells him to go do something. He's like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to be working. He's just sitting there like, come on.
It's like, my team's too good to be going and talking to a locksmith. Aceveda tells Julian to kind of just forget all about the cocaine since they can't prove anything. Julian tells him that he can't let it go. Dutch ends up calling in an FBI agent for some help. Aceveda is informed that all the toilets in the barn are now broken.
I don't know who the FBI agent guy is, but he's the most typical like FBI agent like of that time frame that I could like think like he was. I think he's been a police officer like in everything I've ever or like a wise guy of some sort. Like he's one of the
that
two.
guy.
Like,
yeah.
He doesn't play anything else, but like that's just what I was thinking.
Let me see. Aceveda's assistant warns Vic that Aceveda asked her to call internal affairs on him. Vic tells Danny and asks her to talk to Julian to kind of see if maybe she can kind of talk some sense to him. And Julian tells her about Vic stealing the cocaine and asks her to stay out of it. So this is the first time she's heard anything about that. Oh, I missed something here. Go back. Vic's investigation leads him to a sex club in which Vic goes in undercover and has to see some pretty horrific stuff.
If you left that out, I was like, if you just
oh yeah, I was like, wait a second, this part didn't come for next.
I was sitting there and was like, this is this is FX. Holy shit, FX didn't give a fuck back then. Like, good lord. I was just like,
this at 10
o'clock. This was the hardest episode, like one of the hardest episodes I remember watching for a while because I felt uncomfortable most of the episode. And just because of the subject matter. But I'm like, holy shit, this is episode 6 of the show. Like, we really just didn't even fucking leave any stone unturned. It was crazy.
Oh yeah, and I mean I can't imagine what Vic was going through, because I mean I'm sure he wanted every fiber of his being to stop what was happening, but he knows that if he did that, he wouldn't be able to maintain it, and everyone would get away. So he knew he would have to get out and call for backup in order to properly shut it down.
I mean, I think it's crazy that this episode has 2 scenes, like not just one, but 2 scenes where we have to watch a character just witness like this horrible thing that's happening in front of them. Like it's like just how it's also just crazy how just FX could get away with that back in the day.
I just don't know how. I don't know how technically old she was during this, but she has to be, I'm guessing, of age, to put her in the scenes that she was leaving in, she's basically in her bra and underwear. It was but I was sitting there, I was just and then just to see the group of men standing there, the guy walking, I'm like, what? Again, fucking weirdos everywhere. Let me tell you, I don't know where you travel down the path, and I don't know what mentally is wrong with you, but holy shit, not a chance in fucking hell. That's just the weirdest thing that not everybody's enjoying. They're just sitting there watching. I was like, how does it? And you see Vic, because you don't really see the humanity of Vic very much so far in the show, because he cares a few moments, right? He cares, which we'll talk about later in this episode, of the one girl, and then the female officer, when she got choked out, how he took, he has that, and he when he got outraged as a kid, going to testing. But you saw they do a really good job with the camera on Vic, and Vic's non-speaking lines, when his face is you can see him twitch. When this is happening, and you're just listen, Vic's a scumbag. Vic's not a good guy. But this is beyond far for him. This is what he believes is he's doing to prevent. Also, fuck Vic, by the way. I just jump ahead because they watches this shit, and he walks outside, and the guy goes, I see you 3 miles from this club, blah, blah, blah. I'll send something to your wife. No, you beat the fuck out of that guy right fucking now. You don't let him walk. You shoot him in the knee, do something. You've killed the cops. You're a scumbag.
Cody, that's not how you the eyes.
Oh my god! I was of all the guys you could beat the shit out of, and all the things, no one would, who would not be bad guy? Vic. Because I'll tell you right now, he'd get my pass.
Oh yeah. So then we get back to the barman. I feel bad for Len, because Vic hands him the box of all the tapes, and he's like, "Watch these. There might be some clues or some evidence or something on these." The poor guy's got to just sit in the room and watch all these tapes. I'm letting you know
right now, I retire. I am done. Back then, you couldn't skim. You couldn't hover the bar over and look what's happened, just to pick apart. This is VCRs. Yeah. This was no, not a chance. He had a box. A box. There was at least 50 films. No.
I'd also like to point out that, Shane just lost one of their SUVs with guns and drugs. This feels like a Shane job. I feel like, Lemon just got a shit job dropped on him for no reason.
Fucking Shane.
Which I think he was pretty much MIA in this episode. Because I did some research, and I guess the heads of FX weren't sure if they wanted to keep Walton Goggins on the show. So that's why there's a couple episodes where he's just not really around before they end up deciding that I was like, yeah, we can do something with this guy.
Oh, fuck, you gonna replace him? You know what they would have? Mike Rappaport would have been that back then. He would have been the replacement.
Oh god,
we escaped a massive thing. He would have been called oh my god, Michael Rappaport would have been the guy. He fits the bill. Crazy.
Well, hey, don't go spoiling episodes, because I'm sure Michael Rappaport's going to show up on one of these shows.
Oh, he's got to. Oh, in that time frame, he has got to be a scumbag at some point.
So Michael Rappaport watch starts now, episode 2.
Matt knows he's coming too. Is he in this show?
I don't know.
Oh my god! If I edited
I could
this,
see him showing up in Sopranos just as easily.
Oh my god, you're right. Oh, this is the time frame for Mike.
So let's see, where are we? The lady who ran the club tells them that she brought the girl from a guy named Kurt Schmidt. Dutch asked Vic to track him down. Then Dutch ends up wasting several hours interrogating a suspect, only to find out that the suspect's friend pulled a bad prank on him because they get out that they were looking for a car with a broken tail light, so he broke his friend's tail light of a similar car. And so Dutch pretty much spent hours interrogating this guy for nothing. And then I think he arrested his friend for obstruction of justice or whatever. And then we cut over to Vic's prostitute CI Connie calling him to help her after she shot and killed one of her clients. I think she had a little post-traumatic stress over her last thing. So Vic decides to help her out. But in order to help her out, they need to come up with a cover story, which requires him to beat her. Which at first he's like, "Oh, I can't do it," but eventually she talks him into it, so he beats her pretty good. Aceveda ends up having to pull Dutch's manpower early because there's a fight at one of the schools or something. Dutch gets upset with him and Danny when she approaches him about studying again sometime. Then I think somewhere in here, pretty much Vic has kind of had a couple of talkings with the underage girl who he was able to kind of rescue from the club there. And he tells her he's going to arrange so she'll get sent back to her home country, which she says is going to be worse for her. She wants to stay here where she can eventually go on and be in the movies and become famous. But Vic says, even if I can only get you 6 months away from all this stuff, I'll be able to sleep better at night.
Jesus Christ.
So like I said, Vic and the FBI guy tell Dutch that he did a good job today, even if they didn't get the guy. I mean, really, it takes years to catch a serial killer. You're not going to do it in 24 hours. Danny ends up confronting Vic about the drugs, and he denies it. We see Dutch waiting outside Danny's home. He apologizes to her, and she invites him in for some grilled cheese sandwiches. And then at the end there, we see a car matching the description of the serial killers is seen driving around the corner from some prostitutes. So he's still out there.
This is, like I said, this is the hardest episode for me to watch overall because not only did the child situation also happen, but he had beat up Connie is her name?
Yeah, Connie, yeah.
It's just rough to watch overall. It's just, and that was him battling with it too. Again, clearly women is not where he crosses the line. You can kind of tell.
You can tell he cares about people. He cares about his family. He cares about the other police officers. He does not give a fuck about the criminals and stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird, interesting character study on Vic and who, because, entering last episode, I'd say bad guy. Exiting these 3 episodes, I wouldn't technically call him a bad guy. Yeah, he beats the shit out of Connie, but Connie's begging him to basically
just protect her.
Yeah, to basically cover her stuff. He ends up shutting down the sex show, the underage sex thing. So that's so overall, yeah, he does the coke, but that's not level of kill somebody that didn't deserve it or whatever. That's just Robin Hood, basically, steal from the poor to keep for himself, whatever.
I mean,
he's the opposite.
He's like a Walter White. He's doing it so he can provide for his family and stuff.
Sure. Walter had cancer and was dying and had no money, but for
Vic's
whatever.
Walt, we don't know.
Moves a lot better than Walt did. But overall, yeah, great 3 episodes. I had a real weird I was worried about this show of both shows, of all the 3 shows they were doing. because like FX, I've heard like good things and bad things about overall the shows, but like this is one that I was just like, it's early 2000s. It can be real cheesy. It could be thing. Honestly, it leans really hard in the stuff that I never even expected. So
This
I'm
one really
excited to
puts
see
you
where
in
it
it.
goes. Again, I'm not the bar for this one is not super super high because like overall I didn't know what to expect. So like it could go down and wouldn't hurt me that bad. But yeah, overall, great 3 episodes to kick off. And like I said, this was one of the hardest ones to not click the next episode to go to because I'm just curious where it goes. Because I live for the cat and mouse, like inner, like the basically catch me if you can. Like one guy knows you're dirty, and it just bounces back and forth. So yeah,
Yeah, and piggyback off of that, this episode just kind of has everything. I think I was definitely taken aback just by how hard in the paint this one went. Just
pardon the paint. Love that expression. Yeah, fucking Shaq in the '90s, just fucking backing bitches down.
feel like I use that phrase a lot. I don't know. I guess I didn't. I mean, it hasn't come up in this show yet. But yeah, like I think Cody, you brought up a pretty good point. I didn't necessarily think about this before. Just kind of like a bit of added flavor. I think Chickless brings to this show, just in a sense of, especially in this episode, where I feel like the Vic Mackey, I think, as a character, probably could get somewhat tiresome over time. He's just like if he's just like a guy who's doing like shitty cop things, and he's just doing them, and like we don't really know where the line is, but there are several times where I think Chickless is able to kind of portray that whenever he's being put in like several situations that are kind of chipping away at his humanity a little bit, and he kind of has to like fight himself to kind of hold in whatever bit of like humanity or like soul he has left. Is like when he's just standing there watching the show where he has to fucking like beat the shit out of like his CI hooker. Like it just there's some nice bits there. I think something that can kind of keep the show interesting. And also like I also really like Dutch in this episode. I think Dutch kind of moves up a bit of slots for me in this one. Like I think I have a bit of a larger point on Dutch. I kind of want to wait like a little bit to kind of pull it out, just kind of as a comparison from some characters of our last show, like from the last couple of shows we talked about. But just in general, I think could have been kind of an annoying character to watch. I think at least the last couple, they've done a good job building him thus far.
All right, I guess we're on to.
That was fun.
What'd you say?
We also got a shitters are full moment. That was fun. I laughed at that.
Yeah. Hey, these pipes are bad. Flood.
Oh, yeah. And I just love this police station so much because it's got like all the desks there in the center, and it's like such a great set because you can look up and you see Aceveda like talking to somebody over there. You look over there, you got the strike team doing all their stuff. It's pretty much just got everything just going around all at once. It's a great set.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a real interesting. That'll boil over. All right, you ready to take us through the world of advertising, Mark?
Yeah, I think I can do that. Gonna go off this as episode number 5. Yes, episode number 5 of Mad Men, titled 5G. I did not understand that title just right now. I'm a big idiot. Anyway, we start off. Ken apparently got a short story published in a magazine. There's a lot of hoopla around that. Nobody knew that he could write, and was like, oh, like. I think also that he has a pretty boy antics that nobody thought Ken had any, talent. So bit of a thing about there. They're also handling an account for a bank called Liberty Capital Savings. And man, did they have like just a gem of an idea? Like, what would be awesome is if, like a guy could open up a bank account and it basically just be private. He just gets statements sent to the office and like just nobody bothers him. Like, wouldn't that be great, guys? Like, just covers all the hassles. After this meeting, Don gets a call and Peggy happens to overhear it. Don is talking to his mistress Midge, and they were saying some saucy things on the phone call that Peggy just happened to overhear. And I guess I don't think, I guess at this point, like, she's just now learning that Don is a bit of a what the colloquial term is a swinging dick. She is now figuring that out. Pete also attempts to write his own
Hammer.
Pete also attempts to write his own story, get it published in a magazine, and he gets Drew to read it. Not a huge fan, but he's like, you know what? You got an ex-boyfriend that publishes stories, right? Why don't you go and ask them to help me publish it? She's not a huge fan of that, but she's willing to do it. It's her husband. And then somebody decides to visit Don at the office. Somebody goes by the name Adam Whitman. He claims to be Don's brother. Also calling him Dick Whitman, that name once again coming up. And Don doesn't seem to be super denying it. He's willing to meet with him at a coffee shop after his meeting to go into the conversation a bit. Adam thought he was dead. He said he knew he wasn't. He said, I knew I saw you in the train whenever, picked you up all those years ago. And again, like, Don's just kind of going with it. It really does seem like, he is actually this other guy, Dick Whitman. Like, and his brother is like, I don't, like, who's this, like, Don Draper guy? Like, how long have you been here or whatever? They share a very awkward lunch. And, Don makes it very clear he doesn't want to meet him again. So he just kind of takes off, leaves Adam, feeling not great. Trudy then visits her ex-boyfriend, try to publish Pete's story. And, like, I just say, he's just not over it. He just still
let's
really
just say Trudy has a type.
Still really wants to be with Trudy. It says, hey, like, it doesn't have to be more than just being with you. I'm like, okay. I think we get what you're putting down, guy. I think we know where this is going. Then we got Betty and the kids then show up to Don's office, and Peggy just kind of freaks out because she remembers, like, oh, he was supposed to be there for the family portrait, but he took off without me knowing. And she's thinking, I don't know if he's off, seeing his strange or whatever. I don't know what to tell Betty. So she goes over to Joan and be like, hey, I think Don's off somewhere. I can't tell you or his wife where he's at. And she's like, Joan's like, well, you're going to tell me where he's at, like, or else I'm not going to help you. So she tells Joan about his affair. She's like, wow, shouldn't have told me that. You should have kept that shit to yourself. But, just, say you forgot to tell him and it'll be fine. And then Peggy was like, I probably would have done that anyway. Like, I guess Joan now knows that Don's, fucking someone.
I'm sure she probably has some ideas.
If she doesn't, she's close.
And then, of course, Don eventually shows up as, like, some bad excuse, like, I was at the printer or whatever. Like, yeah. So that ends the way that ends there. Then we go back to that Liberty Capital Savings meeting. That goes well. Of course, the bank manager is like, we don't have a name for it. Now we do. We can charge people for it. And then, I just want to say, like, Don also gives, like, this weird look to the bank manager. Is like, man, you're kind of a fucking scumbag for allowing, like, your clients to get away with, private bank accounts. Like, I don't know if you can talk here, Don. Like,
if there's anyone who could probably use this service.
After the meeting, receives a bit of mail from Adam. It seems to be an old picture of him, like, kind of as he was a young army guy standing with a very young Adam. And we go to back over to Pete. Trudy tells Pete the old good news, like, hey, I got you published. It's in a Boys Life magazine. Ain't that swell? And Pete's like, well, Boys Life kind of sucks. My story was good enough for the New Yorker. And then she's like, hey, I could have gotten you in that if I wanted to. And and then Pete, swell guy. He's like, well, why didn't you?
Well, let's take a moment to check into Pete is the worst corner. Yes, Pete is still the worst. Back to Mark.
Yeah, trying to find out when he's going to change. Clearly not in episode 4, everybody, or episode 5. We are still waiting. Mark says it's coming. We will wait.
It's gonna be Skylar White all over
Will
again.
Don get lung cancer, or will Pete change first? Come back at 5. We'll find out.
Listen, I think whenever it happened with Prez, I was maybe a little clear. Like it was going to happen somewhat quickly, and it kind of did with Prez because he became a good investigator over the course of the season. We're gonna have to wait a bit on Pete. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Pete hasn't blinded a kid yet, so he's got that going for him.
Pete's whiny. Pete's annoying. Don Draper is cheating on January Jones. I just want that on the record. Is one of the most crazy things. I will tell you, not hotter women. Wild. She doesn't have feeling in her hands, and you're like, screw her, I'm out. Wild.
Honestly, I think that's maybe the most impressive thing about Don Draper, if you ask me. He is cheating on January Jones' character. He also still has the stamina for January Jones' character and his other mistresses, which bravo, Don. Like I don't think
I mean, if that's not an ad for cigarettes, I don't know what is.
Lucky Strike. Toasted. All right.
Anyway, we're ending things off. Don feels a little bit conflicted. We see him burning the old picture of himself. Calls up Adam, say, "Hey, I gotta see you." He goes to visit him. He's like, "Yeah, like listen, glad you're here, but really cannot see you again. Here's $5,000. Please do not talk to me ever again." Which I did look it up. $5,000 back in the '60s was equivalent to 50 grand. So
he was talking about buying a house.
So is that what we're supposed to believe it to be?
I mean, honestly, I'm surprised. I thought that this was later on in the show.
Did they have relations?
Wait.
Define relations. Like, are they related?
On bat for the other team at some point. He gave $5,000. I don't think you just give it to a guy that used to be in the simple day life and you meet him at a hotel room.
I mean, if you got somebody who's like potentially gonna break out that you're leading a double life or a fake life or whatever.
Yeah, that you may have batted for the other team in the 1960s.
I think we let Cody continue on this journey.
Huh?
I don't know. Like I'm conflicted myself here.
Didn't they show like a picture of him like when he was like the little brother?
Yeah.
My thing is, even if he disappeared from that other life, and he says, "Oh, we grew up together," you're giving him $5,000 to just leave you alone because you knew.
I mean, to be fair, if it is really his brother, I'm sure he wants to take care of him and make him go away forever.
Yeah.
I have questions. I have a lot of questions.
Because I will say, like, just who Don Draper is, at the very least, the technical question, I feel like, at least gets answered by the end of this season. So let's just go with that.
One thing I want to bring up about this episode is when Don's wife is looking at those family portrait photos. Has Don like ever taken a picture like in his whole life? Because those are the worst poses and faces that he's making in every single one of those pictures.
That is true.
He didn't smile in any one of them, did he? Just sitting there stone face. Even the one she's like, "Hey, you can use this one." Like, he just has a scowl over his face. But no,
yeah, I think this was a good episode. Like I said, I didn't remember any of the Dick Whitman stuff happening this early. I could have sworn that was later on. That's why I didn't want to say anything about it last week when the name was first brought up. But yeah.
No, sorry, I cut you off.
And yeah,
I
of course,
forget I'm
Pete
not
is
the
the
only
worst.
one on the show sometimes.
Oh.
But nobody wants to defend Pete. Pete is your favorite guy, right?
No, I think Paul's a douchebag. If we're being real,
I mean, half the
I
guys
don't-
are douchebags.
I don't like Paul. Paul walked up to that guy that got the thing published and rips it out of the book and was like, "Man, you got more copies." Listen, dude, just because you walked fucking Peggy around the thing and like she decided not to bang you in the shelf, now you're gonna be a douchebag to people? Hey, why don't you go kick rocks?
I mean, in
And
that
then
case,
Peggy
Ken's a
sitting there
douchebag.
listening to the call and be like, "My word, bitch, you just slept with Pete first episode. Like, don't act like you've never heard any of those words before."
Pete wasn't
And like,
saying none of
I'm
those
gonna be
words.
honest with you, Pete and his wife look like the two nerdiest people in the history of the universe got together, so it makes perfect sense.
I feel so
Oh,
bad
is
for
it the
Trudy
next
every
episode?
episode.
Is the return the next episode?
I think that might
No,
be the
I think
seventh one.
that's the 7th episode.
Yeah.
Oh God, what a funny fucking shit dip, fucking whiny bitch. Both of them, fucking idiots. I love it. Yeah, but yeah, people in advertising, cocksuckers. Like, I'll be on for one of them, just just assholes. Besides the older dude, like, I like him, and well, that's another fucking bullshit. He gets her, fuck off, fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, definitely stepping some things up. Might as well get into that.
Yeah,
Here a little bit. Going on next episode, Babylon.
Better than the movie. Didn't take a lot.
Forgot. Yeah. What? I was on a good day. Why don't you have to remind me about that?
Yeah, sorry. All three of us don't like it, so like, it's all right. We get to learn about Don Draper's childhood trauma a little bit. We get to learn about childhood trauma and basically a lot of these.
That's the theme of the night.
I'll tell you, it's the theme of mine.
Yeah, like I guess apparently it's Mother's Day. Don is making some breakfast in bed for Betty. He gets a little distracted as he's walking the stairs, steps on a toy, falls down, and we see him have a bit of a dream sequence. Not going to be the first time either. Like there's definitely going to be a few dream sequences here in old Mad Men.
This just in, Mark Panchaka says more dream sequence coming, Mad Men. Looking forward to it. And Pete's not going to be a douchebag at some point. Here we go.
Well, Matthew Weiner did a lot of work on Sopranos, so that's what we're in for. So yeah, it's going back to when Adam was born. He's looking at seeing where he's a boy, sporting just the best bowl haircut you'll ever see in your life. John and Roger have a meeting with people that they want to try to make Israel a tourist destination.
We called the only Jew he knew. It was one of the funniest things. Like, oh God, both shows hate Jewish people, hate them, and then hey, the one that I thought about, the one that we thought about doing it with, the only one I know. Hey, you help me with Israel? He's like, we have a client coming in.
He's just listen. Like he thought she could help. All right, like anyway. And as Cody pointed out before, Roger's family visits him at the office. We then go in to find out that him and Joan are having a torrid affair. So, good on Roger.
Do you blame him? Blame. I don't know what it is. I guess we do know his life, but do you blame him? Good Lord. She knows how to climb that mountain. No pun intended.
Then Don meets with his team. They try to figure out how to sell Israel, and they got nothing. They keep going back to war and the Bible. Just Just a lot of nowhere to go.
So funny. Like, oh, we hate Jews. Oh, now they're a cult. Now we have to work with them. We have to sell this place that we hate for some reason.
Thought I had something here. I'll just go what I got.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm skipping something, but I'll just go what I got. And then it's also we're still meeting characters here. This is where we first meet Freddie Rumson, another account man here, and he is dealing with a lipstick account. Like he's looking at this box, he doesn't know what to do. He's like, well, like why don't we just throw this to the old secretaries? They can try on all this lipstick, and we can be on the other side of this two-way mirror, just kind of watching them try on the lipstick, and they just do what guys do, you know.
Fucking perverts. You got a two-way mirror into where the women go. Wild.
I think one was like, "You guys mind if I take my pants off?"
I mean, yeah. Listen, Kinsey, you know, everybody likes Kinsey, you know. Or Cody doesn't, but yeah, just trying to have a good time.
I mean, they're doing research.
Yeah. Then, you know, of course, Joan's also there. Yeah, she knows what she's doing. She's like knows that the guys are on the other side, and you know, she just bends over in front of the mirror, and yeah, that just the guys weren't going then. You know, they're going now. they're just all charged up. Oh, that's what it was. Here's where I put it. Yeah, Don, as Cody's talking about, Don uses the Israel account to go and try to talk to Rachel. It's like, hey, can you tell me how to sell Israel? She's like, no. I don't know why you're calling me still. Like, I just, like, you know anybody else that can help you out with this? I don't really want to. Go on after the food. Freddie runs into Peggy, and she drops like that the basket full of kisses line on him, and he's like, "Huh, that's actually pretty good." I'm like, oh, like it's like, what'd you think about this though? It's like, oh, well, somebody took my color, and I don't know if women who want to be known as like a, you know, one of many colors like in a box or whatever, and that really like sends Freddie over. He's like, oh, this is actually some good stuff, and he goes and tells Don and everybody, yeah, Peggy had some, you know, pretty good ideas here. I think she might have something here.
And I'll give Freddie credit because he could have just easily said that, I got some cool ideas for this, and just left her out of it completely. But he gave her credit, so that's cool.
Yeah, no, not all bad. Freddie is like an okay guy, maybe a bit of a drunk, you know, which is saying something in this office. Like that like he's really taking up the drunk mantle. When drunks make fun of you for being a drunk, like, you know, you probably have a problem. We got to then I guess there was a moment where Rachel's talking to her sister, and her sister said, Rachel, you're 28 years old. And I'm like, she's not 28. Like, yeah, like, I don't know who you're lying to. Like, whatever. Yeah, and she's having feelings about Don. Like, she's telling her sister about it. Not dad would hate him, like, whatever. So, like, Don is burrowing his way into her subconscious. Can't get away from Don. And point out, Peggy's eventually rewarded for giving those good lines. She's going to now be helping write copy for the lipstick account. So Peggy's all happy for that. Don goes to get laid, but one of Midge's friends shows up, so he gets cock blocked there. He gets dragged to an open mic, and they start arguing a bit about it, and he ends up staying and watching some musical act, and that's the end of the episode. It's a weird way to end this episode, to be honest. I thought it was like I could have found a better way to just.
The same people sitting at the table are about to protest the Vietnam War. I'm telling you right now, like those people. Like Don Draper couldn't be in the more correct group of people ever. It's like when your friend goes, "Hey, just come out. I got some buddies where you can hang out," and then you sit down at the table and be like, I know you and I are friends, but how did you become friends with this? Like, we're not the same. Yeah, he just feels complete. Yeah, it was a weird fucking end to that episode. I'm just like, what they like? Hey, we haven't had any music, and we want to film the '60s lifestyle with some music, like fucking club. Sure, it was weird. It was a fine episode. It's more creepy than anything. Like this is just like ultimate scumbag like situations. Like you're like, oh okay, the old dude. What's the old guy's name?
Roger.
Roger.
Roger's like, yeah, of course he's got Joan. Like, I wondered because like how Joan was talking like to Peggy and like, hey, you know the people you get into, like make sure you're right. No wonder she's speaking. She's in second.
Yeah.
So
This
it
is
was
a
a good
good episode, yeah. Because it kind of introduces us to the whole Roger Drone relationship and kind of starts Peggy on her journey to getting some experience with some stuff. So yeah, good episode.
A little bit earlier than I remember. I did like as it felt like we had it just for whatever reason. I think back then, it felt like I had to wait longer for Peggy to be kind of introduced in the mix here, at least as far as like kind of the ad stuff go. Which is interesting. And
It might be a one step forward, two steps back kind of thing.
And we kind of color in Joan's character more, which she really just had an interesting journey, especially like at least where she starts off as being kind of like the head of the secretaries. Kind of almost feels like this, like the sergeant in like any kind of platoon or something. Like she's the highest of the non-coms, which weird way to put it, but yeah, I'm like, oh no, wait, what the hell? Yeah.
The next episode has got some great character moments, I will say.
Oh yeah, well, let's get into it. Red in the Face, name of the 7th episode, Mad Men.
Which honestly, a lot of these titles weird, confusing. This one, pretty on the note. Like there's a lot of moments that make perfect sense why it's called Red in the Face.
Oh, yeah. One moment. Start off. Don is talking to Betty's therapist about her progress. He's saying, "Yeah, we haven't really gotten that far. Most stuff she's talking about is stuff that children talk about. So we haven't. She's eventually going to open up. We'll figure out more. So guess Don will just keep plugging away at those therapist phone calls. I guess I just thought it was funny. Like there's a couple funny lines like Roger said over to Peggy and Pete, like ribbing Peggy for saying what she's going to be doing that day. Like Roger gives a shit. He's not talking to Peggy. It's the end of the work day. He can't get Joan to go on any kind of road trip or go away for the weekend. So he just ends up going out with Don to tie one on. They're out at the bar, kind of flirting with some of the ladies. The ladies are way too interested in Don. Don is like, yeah, Betty's gonna have my ass if I don't head over for dinner. So why don't you head over with me? So he tells Betty that Roger's coming over for dinner. Betty's upset. She doesn't have enough food, and of course she gets shorted out of a steak for it. Which, like she doesn't want salad. She wants her red meat. Mad at Roger. Strike one for Roger right off the bat. They're having what appears to be an okay night. They're having like good conversation. They're drinking a little bit. Betty's trying to make the best out of a bad situation here. Of course, everybody's getting a little too drunk after they have some cake. She goes over to the kitchen while Don's trying to get more booze in the garage. And Roger, the timing on this guy, I'll tell you, it just goes and makes a move on Betty. Don's in the other room. They hear the door open, and of course, Don notices like there's some weird fucking energy here. I don't know what's going on here. Like, and of course,
like,
Roger
gets doing now.
Roger, just gets out of there lickety split. He's like, yeah, I think I better go. Although clearly too drunk to drive. Like, got into the wrong car. Sped away. Like,
lights.
Yeah. Of course, Don, confronts Betty about it. She's like feels like there's some weird shit going on here. It's like, what? You brought over your fucking boss. We were supposed to have a dinner alone tonight. Like, I don't know why you're blaming me for this shit.
I didn't get my steak, and your boss hit on me, and it's my fault.
Oh, she does say a weird line. Like, what? Would you like to throw me against the wall? Like, would that make you feel, or something like that? Like, by the way, fucking Roger cocksucker. Like, You already got Joan. You need January Jones too. Like, you need both. Like, F off. Like, be happy with what you got, old fart.
And listen, like,
And
it's
how
Roger.
she's so faithful with Don Draper as her husband. It's crazy. It's crazy. The only unquestionable thing she's done is with gave that hair to that 9-year-old. Fucking weirdo, but still.
Listen, as Roger so eloquently put, hey, whenever your name's on the door, you know, you get to feel a little full of yourself. And he tells like this, you know, fine story of like, yeah, I got to my apartment, drove home drunk one time, got home to my apartment, and stick the key in. It wasn't my apartment. Stick my key into the wrong lock, which great way to tell a guy, hey, sorry I tried to fuck your wife.
That was my bad. My bad.
So yeah, then good old Pete. You know, he's just trying to be a good husband, trying to, you know, to do a solid for his wife. They got two of these. They got two of these wedding gifts. Two of these chip and dips. It's like, you know what? Like I'm gonna return it. You know, just be a good guy. You know,
turns out, motherfucker, yeah, this is wild. I'll let you finish, but come on.
So he goes over there. He's like, hey, like we got two of these. It's like, why don't you help me out here? And and he sees a business exec come up, kind of ribbing him a little bit for returning the chip and dip. You know, that other guy is like kind of like also like flirting up the girl at, you know, the front desk. And, you know, she likes it. She's having a bit. Of course, you know, Pete also thinks he's a dog. Tries to flirt a little bit. She's not having it. He can't even coax her out of, you know, getting cash from the register. It's like, I can give you store credit, but that's all I can get you for this chip. Then, you know, feeling a little bit jealous, also tells, yeah, you know, Matherton, yeah, he's got the clout. So, you know, you go out with him, you know, you got that to worry about. He does end up trading the gift for a BB gun. And
that was not a BB gun.
Oh, that wasn't that. Oh, I thought that was a BB gun.
No, that was a rifle.
No, he traded same price of the chip and dip in the fucking 60s with a rifle. And the moron,
you got a fucking gun at a JC Penney? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
dude,
for
wild
22 bucks.
And then he was just waving it around the office.
The fact that you can get a chip and dip and a rifle at the same price, wild times.
It was real nice chip and dip.
Maybe when you're returning a gift and you're trying to get cash for it, and you say it's part of your wedding registry, you know what just doesn't make panties drop? By saying, hey, you know, maybe we can make something work out if you give me some cash. No, bitch, you're married, you dirty scumbag, get out of my face. And he buys a rifle and then proceeds, married, not married, I don't know how everybody else would feel, doesn't have two chip and dips, has one chip and dip, returns it because, I don't know, money's short and he wants $22 because probably this house is too expensive for his ass. But instead of doing that, he just buys a rifle for it. And then, guess who's mad? Fucking every woman in the world would be mad if you sold the. But also,
it's just in. Pete is the worst.
Pete's still a douchebag. 6 episodes in, nothing has changed on that front. It will be. It's like the fucking Groundhog saw shadow, and there'll be 6 more weeks of douchebagness coming up. Can't wait.
Maybe this is me just not getting stuff. I thought he still had 2 chip and dips. So I thought she was getting angry about it for no reason.
That was a gift from my aunt or something like that.
She wouldn't be crying and screaming over if she had a second of the same chip and dip. The reason why she couldn't find it in the registry and everything and like make sure that it is, here's the situation. Because he wanted cash, because he's low on cash, because they bought a house that they can't afford.
No, because he's like he doesn't feel good about getting money from his in-laws.
Well, like,
I mean, I gotta do it on my own.
How good is this aunt? She gave him a fucking thing that they can put chips in. Like how highfalutin is this thing? Like,
that's the 1960s when that aunt comes over and they want to serve chips and they're not in the chip and dip that they bought.
Oh, where's that chip and dip I bought you?
Oh, don't have anymore, but I have this rifle in New York City. Why? I don't know. And what a terrible chicken dip. Lettuce and tomato like thing. That just looks terrible. Tacky as hell.
I was a little bit on Pete's side just because I thought Pete was, wrong me.
You really thought there were two?
I thought there were two chicken dips.
Oh, fuck. You're a Pete defender.
If there were two, he would have been bringing two back.
He would have got both.
He would have got two guns. Yeah.
He would have walked in. Hello. Like he would have been set.
He would have walked in that office like Terminator.
Mark's like, Pete's getting about getting two chicken dips. Who needs two chicken dips? Sure, the rifle's right. This is the BB gun too. What the? I think he's fucking Ralphie. Like, what the hell are we doing?
All right. Well, I guess can't defend Pete on that one. All right. Then go on to going back over to Nixon. Nixon, I guess, old Dick Nixon just got the nomination, so the agency is now trying to figure out a good strategy to kind of represent Nixon and kind of the way of the election. And then Pete just kind of, he's just kind of, trying to, say his piece about, Kennedy. Like, hey, like if Kennedy gets the nomination, Nixon could have some real problems here. Like, and Roger, doesn't like that. He's like, yeah, come on. Like, he's a young commie. Like we don't got to worry about Kennedy, whatever. Like, he didn't shut up, Pete. Like, we're good. Of course. Yep. What you got?
I'm sorry, this is not on Nixon at all. Is Pete ever going to you can't answer this, do not answer this, but how Pete was pointing that rifle at people too, he could add somebody to kill count. I just want that on the record right now. Like, that's crazy behavior.
I mean, we are going to get people on the kill count at some point, so we'll see.
Not in 2025. In 1960, that's crazy. Like that, he holds a rifle to people's face. Mark's like, oh, Pete's not that bad. He just hold the BB gun to his face.
Like, the worst thing they're gonna do is lose an eye. Like, whatever, it's fine.
I'm
Somebody
sure
love his eye patch the next meeting. They'll look cool.
Rifle that would have killed them instantly. You're like, these guys are overreacting. This is a BB gun, you pussy. Big Pete guy up here. Mark's a big Pete guy.
That was fine. It's like, whatever. It's a BB gun. Like, point at people. And there's two Chippendales. Like,
Oh, what has Pete done to you?
Like, I don't know what everybody's so mad about. Anyway, we see Don share a little private conversation with the elevator operator. Don't hear what they're talking about, but we see him slip him like a cool $5. Then go on to that's not super important. We'll just go on there. He wants to bring it up again. Betty sees Helen Bishop at the grocery store. She's like, hey, how's things going? How's Glenn? And she's like, wasn't really gonna bring it up because of how fucking weird it is, but yeah, I was looking through Glenn's stuff and I noticed a lock of blonde hair, and just got to ask, what the hell is wrong with you? Why would you give a kid, a lock of your hair? Like, I mean, he's like 12 years old. He's going to be doing that later, right? So, yeah, she, of course,
She makes a valid point. And let me tell you, Betty doesn't handle it well.
Nah, she takes a little offense to it, and she slaps Helen in the grocery store. Yeah, and leaves. And of course, her friend hears about it and is like, "Don't worry, Betty, we got your back." Betty did.
I'm not Team Betty on this.
Betty did leave out to the friend, like, yeah, I maybe a bit justified. I did give the kid a lock of my hair, but whatever. Like, we don't gotta worry about it.
I didn't need all the hair.
No. So then see Roger and Don. They go out to lunch, and man, is it a wet lunch? They're throwing back martinis. They're eating oysters. They're going back for seconds. And of course, like Don is like, yeah, we'll take some cheesecake. Give us some cheesecake too, and they keep bringing us these martinis. So they go really hard, and of course they're coming back. They're all liquored up, full of full of shellfish and cheesecake. And what do you know? They're late to the meeting, but the elevator, like, it's broken. They like the guy's like, yeah, we got somebody coming, but we don't know where it's gonna be, and they're already late to the meeting. So you know what? Fuck it. We're on the 23rd floor, but we're just gonna walk up all these stairs. And does not agree with Roger or Don. Like they are pretty winded, and Roger looks like he's about to have a fucking heart attack. Like, not. I mean, he's definitely been filling out whatever, like, the last 56 years of his life of, like, hardcore drinking and red meat. Like, he is not in the greatest shape.
Definitely red in the face.
Yes. they make it to the top. Don is like, hey, like, we just got your elevator was out, and Roger is like, yeah, well, what barely gets out of word. Just throws up all over the floor, right in front of all the Nixon people. Like, they're like, shit, man, I wish we were in on this lunch. Gives a little bit of ribbon, and then he's like, hey, like, and then Don gives him the, hey, you all right? He's like, yeah, and I think also Roger does realize that, I somehow I don't think this was, like, scheduled maintenance for this elevator. Something tells me, something may have happened here. And yeah, we then see Don walk away with a little bit of a sly smile on his face, and that does end episode 7 of Mad Men.
Nobody hits on my wife that I cheat on but me.
Yeah. That was a great episode. I think it's,
oh yeah.
Again, this is really weird to say coming from as many scumbags are in every show that we're watching. But yours might have the most unlikable cast of characters. Like, and it's crazy. Like, not many laws are really being broken, but my God, there's some unlikable assholes that are part of this entire group.
I think on our shows they are doing the actions that are horrible actions, but on this show they're just like talking and drinking and stuff, and they're still horrible people.
Yeah, 100%. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we got to talk about the chip and dip anymore. I think we got that all figured out.
I'm glad we could clear that up for you, Mark. I'm really glad we could clear that up. You were really confused for a little bit, but no 2 chip and dips, not a BB gun. All righty.
And don't let your boss invite himself
God,
over.
that guy's completely just overreacted. Like, come on, there was 2 of them.
And now they can shoot
Mark
with a BB
not
gun.
married in the group at all. Like, what's she bitching about? We're all like, God, if we would have done that, we would have been fucked.
But like, dang,
Mark's
she could
decided
have just
what-
slept with her ex-boyfriend so she'd get her husband's story in the New Yorker. I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, she just fucking Pete everywhere she goes. Like, Pete's a good guy, just getting held down by the man. Mark over here trying to figure out what beer to drink while we're all like, dude.
Allison Brie, who's totally in Pete's in his level, is just yeah, she's just messing with him at every turn.
I mean, I was literally going to bring that up. Like, listen, I'm not married, but if you return one of something, even though you have a backup, would your wife get mad about it?
Yes, if it wasn't as it said.
No, you just let that sit in the corner.
That was hilarious. That was great. Better than expected how that went. But okay. So we are on to Sopranos. I got 4 episodes, so bear with me. Hopefully I'll do better than I did in the first episode of like stumbling through. Because see, I will say, Matt, he's watched The Shield. Mark, he's seen Mad Men. He knows it's coming. Me, I have no fucking clue. I'm learning week to week. I'm trying to remember these fuckers as it goes down. So we're on the Meadowlands. Missed the old stadium where the Giants played, but now it's called Meadowlands. So basically, episode starts. Tony is still in therapy, going through his stuff, but he sees somebody walking by that he recognizes through the window. By the way, shitty fucking thing. Because, like, if you could ever see, like, people, that's not how therapy, like, it's supposed to be concealed. Like, close the blinds.
It might be too weak, mirrored glass, like in the last episode.
And Tony goes through, like, some fucking, like, wild trip of, who's out there? He's got,
The
Jesus
guy with
Christ,
the hair.
yes, Silvio and Walnuts are out there and they're like one's reading the Walnuts are reading the paper. Silvio's banging a chick basically while he's going through all this stuff. He's like, wait a minute, there's people here. So that trips. He ends up like his mother becomes his Dr. Jennifer, like wearing the hat.
I think he may be dreaming.
Yeah, maybe dreaming a little bit. Jackie's like talking, like smoking, and like sitting up in the chair. So he's going through a lot of things. He ends up waking up having a dream. He goes downstairs. He plays Mario Kart with AJ.
The most triggering thing about these 4 episodes is seeing Tony trying to play N64 with one hand on the controller.
It was despicable behavior. It was so like, what the fucker? And then them kept cutting back to the same clip 7th and 8th. I'm like, no, motherfucker, he's in 12. He is 10. His ass is, he's running to the wall. He's hit 3 bananas. It's over, but whatever. Yeah, I'm with you. I was so triggered during the entire thing. Christopher, I don't know what his girl's name. Anybody got to help? Anybody?
Ariana.
Yeah.
Ariana.
They get out of the hospital. He's wearing a fucking neck brace. It's one of the most comical moments. Like, pull the car, I'll be here. They're going, no, I am. Like, Tony Soprano's waiting for, like, he's thinking Tony's out to get him and everything. Like, he is tripping balls. He ends up getting home and seeing, they called him Hey Jack, but his name was Brendan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Brendan shot. Then we get a clip of AJ calling the pager up the one kid in school on a payphone, basically, and they end up getting into a fight. So AJ's having some school trouble at school. Tony goes back. We get back to the therapy. Tony goes around looking. He finds I think it's Silvio Dante leaving the dentist's office,
Mm-hmm.
and like he knows like how collected, like how many people, like how much is in this spot, and he's like, I'm a celebrity, blah blah blah. And of course Dr. Jennifer goes, I thought we talked about your narcissism. I thought we were working through like I'm a big deal. It didn't matter. Christopher is in the back seat of the car with Meadows. Like, did you tell Tony Soprano I gave you crystal meth? Like loses his mind on her. What are you talking about? Flashback to AJ at home. The one thing about this show I will say, I don't know how you guys all feel, the editing is very chaotic on this show. Like we bounce, like it's all over the place, which is fine, but it's like they're like telling all the stories in like almost 2-minute intervals sometimes. It's just like boom, we're on to that, boom, on the next one. So we're back home. AJ Carmela finds the shirt that was ripped by AJ at school and's like, hey, you need a thing. He's like, what did he tell him? He offers something to Carmela, like, I'll do this. And she's like, you don't put any effort into it. Like, you don't try or whatever. But he's like, I'll do it this time, I promise. So he's like trying to come up with the money to pay for the shirt, basically. We get a flash to Tony and his mom visiting each other at the retirement community. Tries to drop him off. He tries to do like a nice thing and like drop her off like candies or truffles or something like that. And she doesn't want them, but she's like, leave them for the people. So the end thing. Tony and then is that an officer?
Yeah, it's a detective.
Detective. Like they're pretty. Like he's having a conversation. I'm not 100% sure. Let me see. I have my notes. What they discuss.
I think he's going to hire him to, well, not hire, but he wants him to investigate the therapist.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. You're 100% right. Yeah. He investigates the therapist, holds the PI and stuff like that to find some things. Because then later on, he like reveals some stuff. I got some candy shots if you want them. It looks like Jackie's health is not improving. He's going downhill. Tony is talking to Christopher about like Junior and like what's ended up happening, what they did to him, and like what's the situation. The guy that killed Brendan, Tony roughs up, beats the shit out of him a little bit.
Staples him up a little bit.
Yeah. And then he ends up going to talk to Junior. And Junior hits him with a pretty hard line. He's like, hey, I put my hand out and you smack it away, like all this disrespect. Next time you come in and talk to me, you better come in heavy or not at all. So basically, come in for a war or don't come talking to me anymore because we're done. And like Tony leaves, they kind of have the end up situation. Detective gives back some more information to Tony about Dr. Jennifer. Just like she's pretty just normal, like dates, but like nothing like crazy. Like she's not connected to anybody, doesn't have any like ties. AJ gets into more fights. Very funny part of like the gardening spot where Tony's like buying some stuff and has an axe, and the guy's like, Tony's like, hey, we should hang out. I'm like, I'm good, Tony. I'm doing like, the crazy guy holding.
I don't even know if they're friends anymore.
Yeah, whatever. Tony collapses at home. Carmelo's like, I thought this therapy was supposed to be helping you. It's the side effect of Prozac, blah blah, going through all that stuff. Christopher beats up like a local drug dealer and says like, this is my corner, like don't fuck with my situation, like thing. Get a random shot of tits at the bang because that has to happen. Bada bing. And Jackie passes. Jackie dies. They find out the news that Jackie dies. Tony goes to Junior and basically tells him, "Hey, I want you to be the head. I want you to be the head of the table. All I want is like the
couple of businesses,
just a couple businesses because I can't go away empty-handed. But that's all I want." Meadow tells AJ that he's in the mob on the most 90s webpage I've ever seen in my entire life. Blast from the past. They attend the funeral for Jackie, and they're like, I don't feel comfortable giving the power to Junior. He's like, don't worry, like he takes all the brunt, like nothing changes on our end, like basically tells him just let Junior have what he wants for his ego and like move along. And that's Meadowlands. What do you guys think? Anything I missed?
The one thing that I did want to mention is that when the detective is tailing the therapist, he does end up pulling over her and her boyfriend, and he just pulls him out of the car, beats the shit out of him, and tells her, "Don't go get hamburger when you got prime rib at home," because he thinks that this is like Tony's mistress or something like that, and that's why he's got her looking into him.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
I will say something. I don't think people really realize how much of a flex it was because this. I believe we were still like in the late 90s, like when Sopranos came out. So like 99. Yeah. And Meadow goes to that mob website that has like every different like animation you can think of. And not only did they not have to wait, it popped up right away, clean, all that. They had some really good internet. Like that was not how it was. They would have been waiting there for like fucking 5 minutes to wait all that shit, just go. Some of it wouldn't even move. There'd be like a little question mark thing, and there's like it would have been a mess. But no, Tony Soprano, he pays for that high speed dial up, is what he does.
Oh yeah, definitely. He pays for it. I think this is an interesting one. The whole thing with Jackie. We didn't really get to see too much of Jackie. We pretty much know that he was kind of like the boss of the family. And him being lost creates the power vacuum where a lot of people assume Tony would just jump up there, but he's smart enough to know, like, if I do that, it's just going to create an all-out war with Uncle Junior. So he's able to kind of negotiate that pretty well, I thought.
Yes. Okay. So the next episode is kind of a weird episode. Where we're like cooking at this point. We get to episode 5. It's kind of like an inside Sopranos like family dynamic, not really outside the families. But it's called College. Basically Tony and Meadow go on a college visit trip and like travels around. So like the moments I'm gonna bring up, like I'm not gonna quote like dialogue shot for shot because it's a kind of a very like simple episode, I would say.
Yeah.
So Meadow and them go, they have an honest conversation, like, are you in the mob business? Basically, are you in like I know you're doing something. He's like, I'll be honest with you. Illegal gambling is what made him some of my businesses. I don't do this, and it's like I'm in waste management. He does all this and goes, Dad, like, because like in the last episode, he's like, AJ, like, do you realize like how many garbage people do you know has houses like this? Like, you know, like there's something going on. But he's like, him and Meadow like kind of have like an honest thing. Like, I've known for a while. Like, what is your thoughts? But like, it's like Meadow and his world, like his family life and the organized crime are like merging in this episode at times because like that guy passes him on the road. He notices him. He ratted. He went into witness protection, but he thinks he found him. Like, so he like pulls over and goes to like a payphone to make those phone calls and blah, 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 like to get the situation. Why he's trying to like not let Meadow fully know like what he's involved in. So it's kind of like doing stuff behind her back. Carmela's sick at home, basically telling AJ to go out and like end up playing and doing stuff. He calls Christopher to tell him to look into it, like look up this plate, like find out who this guy is. Then we get to like a weird fucking thing. I don't know how you all felt, but like fucking Father Phil and fucking Carmela, like movie night, sit on the couch, chill, drink wine, watch Howard's End. Is that Howard's End? I'm not 100%, but I know it's Anthony Hopkins and fucking Emma.
That remains the day. One of those ones, yeah.
Yeah, one of those two. It's Remains of the Day. Okay. It's one of those two.
They're the same movie.
But they end up sitting on the couch and they end up like passing out and hanging out together. And like talking about like basically her confessing that Tony like does fucking criminal fucking activity, like does her confession on the couch and like takes the body of Christ and communion. While Tony is being like watched by a guy, like a guy is looking into him to try to take out Tony Soprano is basically the vibe that I got this entire episode. He lines up a shot at one point, like to shoot him, like, but he doesn't end up taking the spot. I don't know if it's like Phil thinks there's like more to going like the look that he was getting from Carmel the night before and blah blah blah. Listen, Father Phil, I don't know what happens to you in the future episodes, but if you want to be swim with the fishes, I suggest you leave Carmel fucking alone and go talk to sister whoever. Like it ain't gonna.
He just got done telling you he's like he does illegal stuff. You're like, this is probably a time I should take my shot.
She pulled an AK-47 out of the fucking fridge or whatever, or wherever it was. Like, what the? You don't want to be involved in this. So basically, not doing well. And then I don't know if this is the first one, but Tony adds a person to the kill count.
Oh, it's not the first one, no. Wait, that's the first one of these. Second one of these group of episodes.
Who do you kill first?
Well, Uncle Junior died, or not Uncle Junior. Jackie died.
Jackie died.
Yeah.
No. The first one of the hands of Tony.
Oh, yeah. It's the first person he's killed.
Yeah. He ends up stalking the guy that was watching him outside the thing and ends up strangling him pretty gruesomely, kills him. And like he drops Carmela Meadow off and basically like gets her, pulls him and goes, "Where were you?" "Oh, I forgot my watch and the thing and blah blah blah." And like she looks at his shoes and like sees there were puddles and there was shit. Like, dude, he just killed somebody, like over, done with. Honestly, that's the episode. I don't know. Like, there's not much that happens in this overall. Like the tour and stuff. Like I could go through and like she went to multiple colleges. They had fun conversations, but overall, it's like family trip. Carmela and Father Phil. Tony kills the guy. College. Episode
The
5.
only thing I'd add is that he keeps making Christopher run out in the rain to call in from a payphone.
Yeah, that is true. It's like that Matthew McConaughey like fucking commercial that's playing like right now. Like, that's
Like how do people do crime in like 2025 without like payphones? And the Wire showed us the burner phones don't work.
A lot of burner phones.
But yeah, I like the stuff with Tony and Meadow going to like the colleges and seeing that guy kind of like his worlds colliding right there, and he's trying to juggle both of them. The stuff with Carmela and the father is like, I don't know what's going on there. And I don't remember any of that stuff, but yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But I think it's overall it's an interesting episode. Kind of slowed everything down a little bit. Kind of got to spend some time with the characters.
Yeah, honestly, for me, this is kind of where the show takes off. I think for me, I think it's the perfect encapsulation of the struggle that Tony's going to have throughout the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
That of being a family man and being a mobster, where it's just something it's something that he's always going to have to deal with, because at the end of the day, he's loyal to both. He, like, you can tell, like, at least throughout, you can tell like he wants to be a good dad, because he does seem to feel bad that he's lying to his daughter about what he does. Like, he'd rather it be out in the open, but at the same time, he also knows, like, I can't tell her like everything. Like, I can't tell her, yeah, sorry, honey, I would have been with you on this college interview, but I was out murdering a guy. It's okay. He was a rat.
Him, yeah.
You know, it's cool. Like, but yeah, like he's just, but he also like he also just like he cares so much about this, he can't like really put it behind him, and he kind of, in a weird way, he does kind of short both, to where like it is something that kind of holds him back, at least on the mob angle, because it's the one bit of humanity he has. And he also can't really be a good dad because he's never really truthful about any of this with anybody. And at least with like the Carmela stuff, like we just kind of see how it has affected her overall. Because even though like she clearly likes being in this life, she likes, you know, kind of being able to have anything her family could want, but at the same time, she is kind of in this weird spot in her marriage where she doesn't really get any fulfillment out of it. Like, I think it's a really great jumping off point for most of the kind of family characters, except for AJ. You know, he goes off and he plays video games, but you know, everybody else, like it really sets them up nicely for at least the rest of the show.
Okay. Next episode is Pax Soprana. Episode opens with him and that officer talking about like lever the foot, like I didn't tell you to like kick the shit out of the guy, like you're like I didn't know who she was. I didn't know what the situation was, but overall, I really need to know this guy's name. The guy that killed Brendan. Does anybody know his name?
I think he was Mikey. That was
that sounds good.
Junior's number
Mikey.
2.
Mikey shows up at the poker game and like kicks the shit out of the one guy and goes, Junior's not like agreeing to any previous like
He's
deals.
not getting a taste.
Yeah, so fucking power trip fucking guy is here to stay on this one. Junior's getting suited for a new suit to take over the family. He has a sit down with Tony's mom. Tony's like, hey, just be watchful. Don't let them do what they did to Johnny. No one got over on Johnny. No one's getting over on me. I don't know because I haven't seen this, but that's fucking foreshadowing if I've ever seen it. I bet like that's what that situation is going to be. Tony's having a little bit of penis problems. All right, his dick's not working. He's with his little mistress. She wants a candle at him. Doesn't want any touching because it doesn't work. Pissed off, mad, blah blah. Like, yeah, she speaks some Russian too. One of my favorite lines in the entire time is like, "Speaks Russian." Yeah, same to you. No idea what she said. Like, same to you, buddy. And then Tony has a wild dream where Dr. Jennifer is performing fellatio on him. Wakes up, freaks out. Carmela and Tony are having some strains on their marriage over the infidelity, the emotional unavailability. Like, she calls out as to commitment to the marriage and like the problems that they're having, and her role as a wife of a mob boss. The guilt she's having with all the situations of like, you're doing some fucking shady shit. I'm trying to love I love Christ, the Lord, like all that stuff. Like, some situations she just
She
they're
also
having some
found
issues.
out that Tony was lying about the therapist being a man. Found out.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, she thinks
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, thinks she's fucking that woman. Um, Tony's also having some like weird like movements towards Jennifer, especially in this episode, like how he's supposed to handle it. Um, Getting mixed signals is what I would say. Like, she's just being thoughtful and doing her job. He's taking another way. Um,
Like he's in
Carmela's
love.
cope. Huh?
He's in love.
Yeah.
Mhm. And she's like, no, you're just implanting like the ideal version of your mother and your wife onto me. So
Because this is like, is this the same episode? Yeah, this is later on the episode where he like full blown gives her like kisses her, and he's like, I think we need to schedule this at a different time. Can you come back later so we can discuss this? No. Okay, well, let me tell you why you're having this. Carmela's coping really well. She's just buying furniture. You've been spending like hell the last week. Then I'll send it back. That's not what I said. Like, it's just this constantly.
They just have the funniest arguments. Like they're just like, it's like what? Like I'll send him. That's not what I said. I didn't say you had to.
And basically, Dr. Jennifer is like telling her the situation of like, hey, by the way, like your Prozacs can have that simple issues. Is it empty? You might need another one.
Nah, doesn't work.
But it might be the medicine, it might be the stress that you're having in your life. Like, those are not always the same. She also is waiting for like news from her car, and she like says like, I'll just get a second opinion. Um, she's she's at home. She like hears some movement, but doesn't really understand what's happening outside. Ends up going to the repair shop, and the guy's like, "Hey, I'd love to sell you a new starter, but you already got one on. What are you talking about?" Well, the only thing missing is the price tag, like on the thing. Like, the thing's brand new. So basically, Tony sent group over to fix the car, like for her, like at night. That's what I got from there. I don't know if Mark, did you get that? Did you know that Tony put the thing on it? You didn't know it was BB gun. You didn't know there was not 2 chip and dips. I was just making sure you're following.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Okay, just making sure. What else happens in this episode?
Oh, we had the like little side quest where Uncle Junior has Taylor tell them a story about his grandson or something dying of overdose or something like that. So he sent somebody to take the dealer and kind of throw him over the waterfall where the grandson like died or something like that.
Yes, yes.
But we gotta like the people who run the show here, because they knew, we all thought in our head in the pilot, like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to see somebody get thrown off in like this waterfall? And then, but it didn't happen. It's like, what if we just make another part in the episode where somebody just gets thrown off into this waterfall?
There is some confliction between Tony and Junior. Junior's actions include taxing Ash, an ally of Tony's, to create tension between the two. Tony confronts Junior for overstepping, but Junior incites that he's the boss and demands respect. Tony works behind the scenes to undermine Junior's leadership while still maintaining like the kayfabe of loyalty. He uses his crews to minimize the fallout of Junior's decisions by keeping business running smoothly. So he's basically, like he said at the funeral, like, you can have the lead, you can do this, but like nothing's changing on our basically, like, doesn't take the responsibility. So that was Pax Soprana. Overall episode, what'd you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's kind of maybe a little bit kind of a fillerish one. It kind of shows kind of how Junior kind of the powers going to his head, and he's making some moves that are potentially going to cause some issues down the line. And then, of course, Tony's relationship with all the women in his life and how that's going out for him so far.
Yeah. I mean, I was glad to see Johnny Sack appear in this episode, like a nice long running New York guy that we're going to see throughout. He's just a fun character.
Yeah.
Don't see his wife yet, but she'll pop up at some point.
Okay. So last episode, Down Neck. Hold on. Okay, so Down Neck. Basically, we're gonna learn a lot about Tony. We're gonna learn a lot about AJ in this one. So kind of similar to the themes, AJ's having some issues at school. They steal wine, get drunk at the thing. I don't think he doesn't drink any, but he didn't like it. He spit it out, but his buddies like threw up. They were doing gym class. He ends up hurling. So that's
It's always good to go drink before you go to gym class.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so he gets in trouble for that. Tony visits like the lumber yard or like the construction workers and was like, "Hey, this guy is giving us trouble. Sorry, like you got to have regulations. You got to pay. I already paid. You sure about that? I'll get you the money, Tony." That's what I thought. Like that's what it is. But he's trying to lie to him. Doesn't really work very well to him. They call Tony and Carmel down to talk to him about AJ, like stealing the wine, and like, yeah, you need to punish him. You need to like, he'll be punished, like no problem. Like, but we have something to tell you. Whatever kid was in the '90s or late '90s and early 2000s, we believe your kid was ADHD. I think he has this. Well, let me tell you. You might as well just tell your kid he had cancer back in the 90s because you tell a dad that your kid has hyperactive disorder. Not my son. It's really not that big of a deal. I think most kids haven't known it, but he's like sitting there, he's like, are you telling me not to punish my kid? Like, no, you should punish him. Do you hit him? Like they're trying to catch Tony, but Tony's like this. Then one of my favorite scenes that happen. They're all having family dinner. Mom's there, and Uncle Junior's there. They're all sitting there. It's like, oh, well, Tony back in the day drove a car and blah, blah. I don't want to hear this. And then Junior, why'd you yell at me like this? Why is he yelling? Like, he's about to pull out a gas, kill him across the table. Like, hey, the hand movements. Let me tell you, these freaking Italians have used this shit for the rest of the time. They're all doing it now. But I was laughing so hard. I was like, "What the hell? Why is he speaking to me this way?" The disrespect. They're working. I can't remember what is Tony. Oh, this is Tony's childhood. Tony. This episode is to learn about Tony's childhood. He's working through that with Dr. Jennifer and situation. And let me tell you, I know Goodfellas came out, but all I wanted to do was be a gangster. We see little Tony Soprano get a lot of like clues in what the gangster life was back in the day. Sits to watch those kids get beat up when he was a child. Figures it like watching it. We learn about his mother. Like that might be jumping. That might be. Let
That's
me not
jumping
go
ahead
there.
a little bit, yeah.
No, that's the therapy. Okay, what are they talking about? Oh, there's something that happens at the. What about the watches? They're sitting there. They're all playing pool. Let me see my notes. I don't know what the situation is, but Big Pussy, all of them are there. They're sitting there talking about like selling stuff. not important enough for me to write down. So apparently that meant nothing. So
Yeah, did
just
make my
more,
notes.
just more shots at the titty club if they needed anything. AJ goes through testing, holding up little animals and stuff, and like to see what it fucking means and what it does and all the stuff. Like, what's that supposed to mean? But it means something. She took away the TV. She took away that he has to go to grandma at the nursing, the retirement community, and handle hanging out with
That's the
her.
punishment right there.
That's the punishment. They went to play Scrabble together. Um, and then AJ and Tony are like fixing a tire on the side,
Yeah.
and basically was like, he told me I didn't have to share anything I didn't want to, like talk about stuff. What are you discussing in this thing? Like he almost like gives him like the the mob for like, do I have to take out my own kids right now? Like, what are you discussing to this guy?
And I think that was also where AJ kind of let it slip to Tony's mom that Tony was seeing a therapist or something like that,
I think
and
so.
she had thoughts about that.
Yeah, just the fucking worst. Of course, he's like, "Oh, my son's in therapy." He's like, "Oh yeah, he just needs a place to talk about his mother, say about all the mistakes." Like, you fucking narcissistic piece of shit. Like, always got to find a way to talk about yourself. Like anytime, like you get brought up.
Yeah. We get back to the therapy. We get a flashback to him. I think it's his dad and him and his sister like leaving the house and leaving him behind, basically,
Yeah.
to go
He like
around.
takes her to like the fair. He
Yeah,
doesn't get
and
to
leaves
go.
him alone. So there's like a little bit of separation. The mom and we get a glimpse of young mom and how gets angry with him pretty quickly. Is like, um Janice is perfect. She doesn't do anything wrong, and she snaps and was like, I should just poke you in the, like, I should just jab this into your eye or whatever. And the therapist's like, what did she say to you? Like,
What,
she's
she was
just
all talk. Like, she wasn't
she was just angry. She was just being dramatic. Like, it's just Ma. You don't know her. She's being dramatic. It's like every night there was the opera. It's just like, what? Like, what a lot. And she started to stab a fork in his eye. Like, oh, she wasn't gonna do it. Like, let's be clear. Like, my mom was not that. Like, it was just funny, like how he's like backpedaling for her. He ends up like hiding in the trunk of his dad's car to like watch him at the fair, like at the fair while he collects like money and stuff from the situations while she's playing, but like he never got to go. So it's like those sad moments, like he gets left out, but like saw dad get hauled away to jail, like, and that like it's kind of basically shaping who Tony became. Like the whole thing is like shaping who Tony became, and he ends up sitting there and like talking to mom getting arrested, and he's like, oh, because there was rats and there was people like that. The guy like reached out the window with the arm brace. Yeah, don't listen. Don't like good job. Like, fight the man. Don't listen to him. And like you just see like how the dad of Tony was like trying to keep the family afloat, but like how ruthless his mom really was. Like, she's drunk and she's like talks about killing her kids with us. She's like, I'd rather smother them with a pillow than let them live like without us. Like, it was like this crazy event.
They talked about how like he had a guy who wanted to bring him in on like going to Reno or something and starting a business or something, and if he would have done it, they would have been rich. But the mother was like, "No, we're not doing that." Stuff like that.
Yeah, it's you just, like, you know, that how crazy you see her at some point. Um and like it's like your dad got he goes and Junior are at the retirement community with her, and Junior like starts walking with her, and it's like your dad got exactly what he wanted, whatever he wanted to do. It's like maybe that was his chance to like get out. Like dad was no choir boy, but like a little bit of support, would have like helped. Um she's like, maybe you should talk to a psychiatrist if it like is affecting you. Um and like he recalls like those moments like when he was a childhood with her, like maybe smother her children with a pillow, like holds this like stuff. Um I what did he say to her? Um it's like you're a real smooth player. Like you think dad was the ruthless one, but I gotta hand it to you. If you were born as one of those feminists, you'd be the real gangster. And then she like looks at him, I don't know what you're talking about, and like walks away from him. But it's like, yeah, if it wasn't for back then, if you were a part of that feminist party, you out of everybody would have been the gangster. Like, and that's just like one of those moments. Like Tony has a breakthrough kind of with his mom in that situation of like, yeah, you can blame all this shit on dad, but you're the fucking one that like stirred everything. So I thought it was a great like character overall moment in that one. Like you get to like that's what I said like about this is like I can understand like was it Mark? Did you say your dad was like fuck the therapist stuff? Let me go see Tony do totally thing with like your dad. But that I've seen the gangster stuff for so long. It's my favorite genre of like to learn about. But to see one like work through like personal struggles while being like a head of the mob community is such an interesting dynamic. How this show went my entire life, like without me watching it, is effing surprising. But like I am hooked. This show is, I love it. Yeah, power ranking don't change a whole lot this week, just of my overall, just to keep everybody afloat on that. Um, But Tony does go to the number 3 spot. Everybody else just drops down. So Silvio and Big Pussy go down. Tony goes up. I really liked how Tony overall thing. And honestly, besides like the bottom of the list being the terrible people, I think Junior is also should be pretty high up there. I love that dynamic of being related and just not like being enemies. It's just wild how that all works, but I love it. So, what do you guys think of Down Neck and then overall the 4 episodes?
I mean, I thought it was interesting. I think it's cool that like episode 7 are already getting like flashbacks to Tony's childhood to kind of explain a little bit more like his relationship with his mother and stuff. So I thought that character really kind of got fleshed out a little bit this week, and that kind of gives you a little bit more insight into Tony too, and kind of his upbringing and stuff. So yeah, I think that was a really good episode.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna bring it up every time about this. There are very few characters that just really grind my gears as much as Lydia Soprano. She really is just the fucking worst. She not only is she just a bad mom, but she's also just somebody that like she found a way to kind of force her way into like these like weird like gangster family issues just by being herself, which is just really strange. It's a really strange dynamic, and I didn't want to point this out just some in, and this may be more of like a last episode thing, but still kind of I think fits here. Is that I think just kind of from what I remember when I watched the first time, I thought I remembered like this first season being kind of more of a just regular mobster show, just kind of not like basic, but just kind of showing like just the mobster angle, and like we kind of get into like the family stuff and like kind of the weird psychological like backstory, like dream sequence stuff later. Because like they're again, like I don't think I'm gonna spoil anything. There's much more of that that's gonna happen. It feels like we jumped off. We kind of came into that much earlier that thought we did, and like it's just interesting to rewatch it. That okay, like because this was set up more, and it's not just something that we just kind of threw in there in kind of like later seasons. So
Well, I was worried when you watch it because you like you want to care about the family dynamic of why Tony fights so hard for his family, but like how boring is that going to be? Because him and Carmela are one thing, his mom's a crazy batshit lady, and then there's two like young like teenage kids. So like where's the like intrigue in that situation? But how they mesh it really well, it just I don't find myself bored, which is good. So
I think that what's also kind of neat about they find ways to kind of make the mundanity of it interesting. Like I feel like we've gotten like at least with college, I think they got a lot of interesting stuff out of Tony for the first time having to be honest about what he does to his daughter. And then kind of same like this last episode where he has to kind of do that with his son and maybe still kind of tiptoe around it. He still wants to be like the hero dad, even though he knows that his son is starting to get inklings of like what he does for a living.
Nothing a little whipped cream can't fix.
Oh yeah, I forgot. At the end, it's she has AD. He doesn't have it. She doesn't have ADHD. He has ADD, I think. And he like so, he's like he doesn't have anything. He's a fucking 13-year-old kid. Like let him be a fucking kid. And then he's like, yeah, mom took away. It's not fair. Like it's not fair. Yeah, it's not, buddy. And then he's like, here, can I? Which one's mine? That one. I get the sprinkles, and then I have ice cream. So it's a cool family moment. Like again, you see a guy that literally strangled somebody 2 episodes ago, and is literally eating ice cream with this kid next. So great, great so far.
All right. So who we got for bad guy of the week?
I'm gonna go a little off the wall. I don't know if a lot of people. I'm gonna Roger, right?
Okay.
Roger tried to fuck Don's wife, like in the same situation, like, and then act like, oh, someone's name on it. You get a little. That doesn't mean you fuck someone's wife. Like, what are you talking about? He's a wild, bad move, and like put her in such a weird situation, like made her almost take the fall for his actions. So that's my bad guy. Like,
that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm actually gonna go. I could easily go Pete, but I'm not gonna do that every single week. So
yeah,
I'm
going to say
go...
for moments the chip and dip. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I get it. $22 for that, I would have sold it too. I would have maybe bought a rifle with it, but
I mean, if 500 is like 5,000, 22 is pretty good. So
the first week he deserved it. This week, I don't know. There's not really anything that really jumped off.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Tony's mom as a bad guy of the week because just all the stuff with just. You can see her manipulating Uncle Junior and to kind of using that as a way to get at Tony and just kind of pick at him. It's got the flashbacks where he showed just kind of how she was just always talking down to her husband and stuff like that and
trying to kill her kids.
Abusive to the kids. And she's pretty much very anti-therapy when she finds out that Tony's trying to talk and better himself and things like that. So yeah, she's the bad guy of the week.
Mark?
Yeah, like I think if we were trying to, like, good thing we kind of threw out that has to be a main character. Because I think we all would have been like, well, obviously, it's
everybody associated with the
obviously it's T-Bones,
yeah. T-Bone. Everybody associated with making those films or that place. Definite bad guy. TV Chronicles do not support that in any way, shape, or form. We want that on the record.
Glad we got that. Don't want anybody misconstrued. I think there was a couple ones. Olivia, I think it's a good pick. I think I went back and forth with Vic a little bit. Still, like doing bad cop things, at least with the that 6th episode. I think I was there already, because like even with the whole chip and dip thing, the upset at your wife for not sleeping with the ex-boyfriend to get published in like the New Yorker or whatever.
No, we're giving Pete it. We're giving Pete it again.
I have to go Pete this time. Like it's
I
horrendous.
like it only took us
Two-time
2 weeks to
winner.
turn Mark against Pete.
Two-time winner. Takes the cake. We'll keep track of how many bad guy gets the award, but Pete's up there with 2. Overall, great episode. Next week, episode 3, we will be talking about 3 episodes of Sopranos.
3 Madmen.
8, 9, 10
I
for
think so.
Sopranos, I believe.
Yeah.
3 of Mad Men, which will be 8, 9, 10. I
believe
think
so.
we're all having 13-week episodes. I think that's how
Yeah.
it's support.
And
then the Shield has 4.
Yep.
Yeah. We're gonna go to 10 on Shield.
Yeah, we're gonna go to 10. So we'll all be the thing, and then we'll be.
And then I think next week is already we're through season 1. The week after next week, yeah.
This podcast, we do work here, all right? We'll be wrapping up. Then we'll rank the seasons how we have always done it, and then overall bad guy of season 1. The overall bad guy of the season 1 is how we're ranking.
We're gonna have a season 1 winner for the bad guy.
Oh yeah, each season bad guy. And guess what? I'll give you a little hint. Series, bad guy of the series. Oh yeah, it's there. It's who you guys think is the worst of the entire series. That will be at the very end. But yes, exciting. We will be back after that. So we'll be back next week. Everybody, have a great night. Bye-bye.
Your turn to play bad cop?
Nah. Good cop and bad cop left for the day. I'm a different kind of cop.
I don't wanna do your dirty work no more.